Hi everybody, welcome to Simply Scuba. In today's video we're going to be taking a closer look at the DivePro S26 Dive Torch. Now this is a sensible sized, fairly lightweight dive torch. There's a fairly hefty battery on the inside and a big reflector on the front. So yeah, let's take a closer look. Okay, so let's take a look and see what you actually get inside of the box. Now this one arrived to me torn. This wasn't me, I can take no responsibility for that, but hopefully yours won't. But it's just the packaging, isn't it? So cardboard box, DivePro, to be like a DivePro S26 diving torch. There's a few different versions. So this one is the one with a 21700 battery and a USB charger, but apparently you can also get it as an 18650 or just the bare torch. I prefer just getting it with a battery, at least then you know you have the right battery that goes with it. Some information on the brand, but more interesting specs about the torch. So it has a Cree LED. Maximum output is 2600 lumens, so 2600 lumens. 3 different power settings. You've got the middle setting of 1130 and then a low of 110 lumens. Burn time just over an hour at full power, and then low power you can get 1500 minutes. I have no idea what that is in hours, but it's a few. 6-degree spotlight underwater beam, so I'm quite a focused spotlight. The battery, either a 21700 or an 18650. Charge time about 8 hours apparently. Weighs about 285 grams in air, 140 grams underwater. So negatively buoyant. The size, the lens is waterproof and all that. Maximum output, we've been through all of that. Waterproof down to 100 meters, which is deeper than I can go, so perfect. Looking on the inside, so we have a foam kind of cradle on the inside, keeping everything. That's everything inside of the box. So to start off with, we have a user manual book of words, just telling you about the battery level indicator, how the buttons work, how to use that, and just the usual bits and bobs on how to use your new torch. You get a wrist lanyard, fairly standard. You just have that spring-loaded sort of pop-it thing there, and then you attach it onto the torch so you don't drop it, or if you do drop it, it doesn't go anywhere. A couple of spare O-rings, so this has a double O-ring seal. I'll show you that in a second, but you get a couple of spares. You get some silica gel, do not eat. A cradle, spring-loaded charging cradle, and then you plug that into a powered USB port, and that's how you're going to recharge the battery. That's inside of the torch. The torch itself, if I can get it out. Yeah, and then you get the torch itself. I imagine if I open it up really quickly, because it feels like the battery's inside. Yeah, the battery's inside, and it's got a little sort of battery protector just to stop it from discharging whilst it's in storage. So that's what you get with the torch. It squeaks a bit. I might put a bit of silicone grease on that before the next section. But yeah, let's take a closer look at the torch itself. Right, so the torch itself, so this is an anodized aluminium torch, which means that it's corrosion resistant, it's quite lightweight, but it is very strong. Over the head and over the body of it, it has this kind of half checkerboarding, which gives it this sort of cool styling to it, and just sort of adds a little bit of grip. Single button user interface to change the power settings, switch it on. Just around that, you'll see this sort of section of like opaque plastic. So this is actually your battery level indicator. So there's going to be a small coloured LED or an array of them underneath that. And as the battery level starts to drop, that will start to change colour so that you know how much battery life you have left. Underneath, on the underside, this is a standard tripod mount. So if you wanted to mount it onto something, use that standard thread size from that. Little battery indicator, so it tells you which way the battery goes in. And then you have a decent sized lanyard loop at the back, so you can attach something onto it. This fits in the hand quite nicely, a sensible size. So if you're using this as a primary dive torch, it fits in your hand quite nicely. And yeah, even if you're wearing gloves, it's going to be fairly easy. It has these two cutaways on either side, so that when you're holding it, it naturally gives you kind of a pinch grip to hold onto it, and it sits quite naturally in your hand. So yeah, very comfortable. If I open it up, so all of this section is all connected, and then this sort of handle section rotates and unscrews from that to show you the battery on the inside. Now the red O-rings, so two O-rings, bit of redundancy, are stopping the water from getting in. And then on the inside, in this case, you have a 21700 battery, 5000 milliamp hour, 3.6 volts, and 18 watt hours, I think that is. Screwing it back on. Now I always like to unscrew it first until it clicks, just to make sure it's lined up nice and straight, because if you just jam it together and just start screwing, you can cross thread it, whereas if you unscrew it, it kind of takes it back to the beginning. Unscrew it until it clicks, and then you can start screwing it back in. Okay, so turning the torch on, if you hold the button down, it turns on. Here you can see the beam angle, so this is going to be a 6-degree beam angle, so quite tight, a bit of a spotlight, so you can focus on one thing in particular and communicate with your buddies, but as you can see, it has a bit of a corona around it, so it's going to illuminate a lot of the scene around the reef of what you're focusing on, so you can still use it to navigate quite easily. It's not focusing it into a too tight of a laser. And then if you push the button on from that, it dials it down. Press it again, it dials it down. So this is the real power saver mode. This is what just over 100 lumens. So if you're in an emergency and you really need that battery life to last as long as possible, then yeah, this should help get you out of danger. And pressing it again brings you straight back to full power. If you hold the button down again, it switches it off. Now I'm going to try and get the overhead camera to pick up the battery level indicator, but it is quite bright in here. I don't know if you can see that, but it has a green hue just around this. It's more designed for nighttime. So obviously that LED underneath isn't particularly bright. If I just switch it off because it's in SOS mode at the moment, yeah, you will be able to see it. It's just because we're quite bright in the studio, you can't quite see, but around there you'll have a color-coded indicator that tells you how much battery life you have remaining. Right, so actually reviewing the S26 as a dive torch. So first of all, who is this torch aimed at? So this is really aimed as a primary dive torch for people who are diving in sort of night dives out in blue waters. This would do fine as a primary in sort of daytime in murkier waters, because it has that focused beam and that sort of decent maximum output. That's going to be able to pierce through fairly murky water as well. Doesn't quite have the burn time that you'd want for some real like extended diving, but for recreational diving, this is one hell of a torch, and it has a lot of power and a lot of the specs. Because it's got that rechargeable battery as well, this would be quite handy on a liveaboard. You only need a powered USB port to recharge your smartphone, your tablet, and your dive torch. Obviously not all at the same time, but you can still use that same powered USB. Now, to actually review torches, we have 5 different categories, or we have 4 categories and then an overall score. So first of all, we're rating on the power, the actual output, and the burn times as well. Then we have the beam angle, because that is quite important. That's kind of what you want out of a torch. The extras, then the everything that comes with the torch. Then you get the cost of the torch, because of course it's important to know how much a torch costs and where you would expect it to be in the range, and then the overall score. So the first one is the power. Now I gave this a 5 out of 5 as far as power, because for a torch this size, the output is pretty good. So what was it, 2600 lumens, 2600 lumens. That is a bright torch at maximum power, and the burn time of just over an hour is okay, especially if it's for recreational diving. Because if I was on a night dive in the Red Sea, I'd probably dial this down to sort of at least half power. And that way you get the longer burn time But if you do need to get someone's attention, you do have that potential of 2600 lumens to be able to kick out. The burn times were okay. It does have that, was it a 21700 battery on the inside that you can recharge it. So yeah, this is getting 5 out of 5 for a torch of this size. Then we move on to the beam angle. As much as it says it's a tight 6-degree beam, it does have quite a corona on it. It's not the cleanest, so I wouldn't be using this for photography at all. This is more of a primary handheld dive torch. It does have that screw mount, so if you're using a Goodman style handle, I can imagine that's for to attach it to the back of your hand. But realistically, for me, this is a handheld torch that I'll be holding in my hand and sort of using as a flashlight. Then onto the extras. So it comes with a rechargeable battery, it comes with the charging cradle, it comes with the lanyard as well. So this is only getting a 4 because you can get some torches that come with Goodman style handles and Goodman handles. You can get some extras and spare bits and bobs, but for this one, has everything that you need, and more than some other torches give you. Some torches don't even come with batteries, some come with batteries but they don't come with chargers, so this is getting 4 out of 5 for that. The cost, so this sits just at the kind of the beginning of where torches sort of get serious for me, if that makes sense. So it's at the lower range of the serious torches, but it's the upper range of less serious torches. But for what you're getting, for the price that you pay, you're definitely getting a lot. So it's getting 5 out of 5. So all in all, this is getting 9 out of 10. It is a very well put together torch, sensible size, nice and hard wearing. The specs are incredible for what you're paying. It's one hell of a dive torch. Definitely worth checking out. Right, so that's the DivePro S26 Dive Torch, a primary dive light with a really sensible amount of output, a rechargeable battery on the inside in a tough little body. Yeah, I really like this torch. It ticks a lot of boxes. It has all the specs that you need, and it comes in a really neat little package. Yeah, I definitely like it. I definitely recommend it. It's worth checking out. There's going to be far more information on our website, simplyscuba.com. There's going to be a link down in the description below to check this torch out. Thank you for watching, and of course, safe diving.